Hello everyone, today we will be talking about computer processors, specifically about the Intel i3, i5 and i7 processor family. For those that just want to know about the range and how to identify their strengths, this really is Intel's way of saying low-level, mid-range and high-performance processors. If you want to know more, let's dive right in. The computer's processor is its brain, the component where most of the thinking happens. The faster central processing unit (CPU) lets you crunch spreadsheets, solve web pages, play games or edit photos faster. But a higher wattage processor may also give you bad battery life. When looking at a computer's processor, there are two main figures you'll see time and time again. The first is the clock speed. This is measured in gigahertz. It tells you how many operations a processor can do per second. The higher the number, the faster the computer. The second term you see is the number of cores. Typically, a desktop and a laptop chip have 2 to 4 cores, known as dual or quad core. Some newer models have 6 and even 8 cores. The more cores your computer has, the better it is at running multiple tasks at the same time without slowing down. You would appreciate more cores if you often open lots of programs and open lots of web browser tabs. Intel cores are streamlined mid-range central processing units (CPU) marketed by Intel Corporation. They are made for consumer, workstation, and enthusiast computers. This processors displays the existing mid to high-end Pentium processors at the time of their introduction, moving the Pentium to the entry level. The lineup of core processors includes the Intel Core i3, Core i5, and Core i7, and fairly recent, the Intel Core i9, along with the Xeon series of the Intel Core CPUs. Today, I will be discussing the i3, i5, and i7 chips. The number of these three variants, Core i3, Core i5, and Core i7, no longer correspond to the specific technical features like the number of cores. Intel's Core i7 CPUs do not have 7 cores, neither do Core i3 have 3 cores. They are simply meant to be indicative of their relative processing power. The brand is now divided into low-level i3, mid-range i5, and high-end performance i7 processors, and are similar to the 3, 4, and 5 stars used in Intel processor rating. On to the Core i3. The Intel Core i3 provides adequate performance for basic tasks. It is an economic choice which is good for surfing the web, making video calls, social networking, and for other basic tasks. It is, however, not suitable for gamers or professionals. Developed and manufactured by Intel and first introduced and released in 2010, the Core i3 is a dual-core computer processor available for use in both desktops and laptop computers. It is one of the types of processor in the i series, also called the Intel Core family of processors. The Core i3 processor is available in multiple speeds ranging from 1.3 GHz up to 3.5 GHz. It also features either 3 MB or 4 MB of cache. Core i3 processors are most often found as dual-core, having 2 cores. However, a selected few high-end Core i3 processors are quad cores, featuring 4 cores. The most common type of RAM used with the Core i3 processor is the DDR3 1333 or DDR3 1600. Core i3 processors are often used on laptops due to their low heat generation and conservative battery usage. Some laptops can be used for up to 5 to 6 hours on a single battery charge when running a Core i3 processor. Now let's talk about the i5. An Intel Core i5 provides good performance for most tasks. It is for intermediate users who want a balance between performance and price. Commonly found in desktop computers, Core i5 processors are for most everyday use and some higher needs too. Some laptop computers feature the Core i5 as well as to provide performance for heavier usage needs. The i5 is good for gaming if you buy a G processor or a Q processor with a dedicated graphics processor. Developed and manufactured by Intel, the Core i5 is a computer processor available as a dual-core or quad-core. The first i5 processor was released in September 2009, and new generations of the i5 continue to be released. The Core i5 processor is available in multiple speeds, ranging from 1.9 GHz up to 3.8 GHz, and it features 3 MB, 4 MB, or 6 MB of cache. It utilizes either the LGA1150 or LGA1155 socket on the motherboard. Though Core i5 processors are most often found as quad-core, having 4 cores, a select few high-end Core i5 processors feature 6 cores. The type of RAM used with the Core i5 processor is the DDR3 1333 or DDR3 1600, which is the same as the i3. However, high-performance RAM can be used as well if supported by the motherboard. At the lowest speeds, battery usage is pretty conservative and can reach up to 5 hours of usage on a single charge. At higher speeds, battery usage is higher and may result in up to 3 hours or so of usage per charge. And finally, i7. The Intel Core i7 was developed to provide great performance for the most demanding of tasks. It allows your computer multitask with several windows open at a time and run apps that requires a lot of horsepower. Intel Core i7 is a line of Intel's CPUs which span 8 generations of Intel chipsets. They feature either 4 or 6 cores with stock frequencies between 2.6 and 3.7 GHz. The first i7 processor were released in November 2008 and new generations of the i7 continue to be released. Variations of the i7 processors are manufactured for a variety of personal computing devices. Some high-performance i7 processors for desktop computers such as the i7 8700K are unlocked for overclocking. Overclocking is the practice of increasing the clock rate of a computer to exceed that certified by the manufacturer. Now back to the i7. High-efficiency i7 processors, which conserve energy as much as possible at the expense of some performance, are manufactured for desktop computers, laptops, and mobile devices. The i7 processor is marketed primarily to gaming enthusiasts and digital artists such as filmmakers and animators. In June 2018, Intel announced a limited edition of the i7 processor, the i7-8086K. This was to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the 8086 CPU. Only 8,086 of these processors were produced. It is the first Intel processor to reach speeds of 5 GHz without overclocking, using Intel Turbo Boost technology. So, what do you think? When getting your PC, be it a desktop or a laptop, it is important to ask yourself first, what purpose would your CPU serve anyways? Is it worth it to own a CPU with more cores, a faster clock speed, or advanced features like the hyper-threading and turbo boost? All this in combination with other specs of the computer tremendously affects how much you will spend. There you go guys, the Intel i3, i5 and i7 family of processors. Hope you found this video informative and useful. Kindly support 28Bay to make more videos like this by hitting the subscribe button, like, share, and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when new videos hits. Bye.